Hey, welcome back to the show. If you happen to be one of those people that have a Floydrose special on your guitars, I don't know why a lot of guitar companies are putting these absolute rubbish tremolos on our guitars. The die-cast zinc saddles always break, they fall apart, they strip out. And if you're looking at replacing that with a genuine Floydrose or Floydrose 1000 with the hardened steel saddles, the cost almost outweighs the upgrade. Like they're looking at like $500 or $600 here in Australia. So I've gone an alternate route and bought myself the Gotoh 1996 tremolo unit. And this GE 1996, it's fully made in Japan, all hardened steel saddles. The whole kit comes with it, I believe. And I thought today we'll just nerd out in the specs, just check it out, see how it compares to the Floydrose, see if it stays in tune. I'll run through how it feels and just try and let you know exactly what to expect if you happen to buy one of these. And for me, this is a no-brainer. This is $230 at my door for a fully made in Japan hardened steel tremolo. They use them on the made in Japan Jacksons these days, so they've got to be good, and we'll just test it out. So I got the Gotoh bridge to replace the Floydrose original that's currently in my Jackson King V. And when I first got this King V, it had a Floydrose licensed tremolo in it. One of the saddles broke out shortly after I got it, and instead of replacing the saddles then, I just took the whole unit off my Jackson San Dimas and put the crappy Floydrose special on that. I don't play the San Dimas too much, and I'll absolutely love this guitar. So the San Dimas has sadly been out of action for a little while. So I thought the Gotoh would go in here. I can put the Floydrose back onto the Jackson San Dimas. Everyone's happy, but just so you're aware, that is the backstory. And just before I take it out and swap it out, I thought we'll just quickly go through the engineering drawings. Both should be absolutely interchangeable. All that I really was looking at was the actual dimensions of the 10.8mm string spacing between each. The radius on the Gotoh is slightly flatter than the Floydrose. It's 350, whereas I think the Floydrose was about 300. I didn't get it on these two drawings, sorry. But the overall width of the Floydrose is at 91.7 opposed to the 91.5 of the Gotoh. All the dimensions seem fairly similar so far, so they should just fit into the same spots. The pole spacing is 74.3 here on the Floyd, and looking across it's 74 flat on the Gotoh. But the Gotoh has that little flat section here just to alleviate for any of those small discrepancies. But that's enough to satisfy that the Floydrose and the Gotoh bridge are just going to swap out clean from each other. There's going to be no fouling or no ill fits. So apart from the feel of the two tremolos, I think the only test you can do is if it actually stays in tune. I'm using Neural DSP's Fortin Nameless suite here. It's got a fantastic tuner on board. This is the Floydrose original. And that's fun, but let's just see how it went. And that's actually pretty good. Let's just see how the 1996 goes. So we'll just see what's in the box, what you get with the kit. So it's quite a substantial brass block you get on the back of it. That's already an upgrade for the Floydrose. These saddles look beautiful. They look nice and smooth to touch and everything. A lot of movement. Fine-tuned screws. Brass backings on them. Look, it looks really good. It's a heavy-duty base plate. It'll be interesting to see how the whammy bar actually goes into that and how it works, but so far that's a beautiful looking tremolo. You get all your Allen keys. Some heavy duty black springs, that's cool. The insets and the studs, and the locking claw that goes into the guitar. And then I just saw what's really cool with the whammy bar on the setup. The whammy bar's got that internal thread. It goes onto a grub screw at the very bottom here that you can wind with the Allen key. But hopefully you can see in the camera, there's a little grub screw on the back of the bush here that seats the whammy bar in, and so you can back that off and have like a loose wang bar, or you can just tighten it right up and hold it in the position that you want. But straight away, even with no tension on that grub screw, there's absolutely no slop or play at all in that whammy bar. It's enough that it moves in the position, but there's just no slop, so you're not going to get any of that noise coming through the guitar. I've just put the bridge on and just set the intonation according to the old one. We'll test it out on the tuner in a sec. I've just sort of bolted it all down. I've used the existing poles there. And over on the back, for every guitar that I have a Floydrose, I make up these blocks. I just make them out of like paddle pop sticks or hardwood or any old thing really that just works as a shim block. So when that goes in there and I just wedge it in at exactly the same place, I turn the guitar over. I try and just make it so the actual Floydrose is exactly parallel. When I do the setup, the intonation, the string height, I'll put a straight edge on that. It's straight on with the body, and that way you know all your adjustments, everything you do, when you tune it back up to pitch, everything's going to be exactly bang on. Things that I noticed on the actual swap over, it was super simple. It went straight into place. The action, I did not even adjust any of the pole pieces. The exaction is exactly the same. The brass block on the bottom of the Gotoh bridge, it was a 36mm brass block, so it's actually filled the cavity a little bit better than the actual Floydrose one did earlier. So, and I think something else that's really cool, that's really refined, this bridge so far, I'll just say, I think the build quality and the refinement, the detail, it absolutely shits over Floydrose. It is really good. Just even these little clamping blocks here, they're recessed and they disappear inside the cove of the actual saddles. So when you remove the strings and you wind little ferrules all the way back, the little blocks don't actually fall out onto the carpet and you don't lose any of them. Like, they just stay there. It's really refined, really thought of. And as far as the intonation, the little screws that go through into the hardened saddle block, they are already on the proper setback just from factory. I pretty much just eyeballed the intonation setup and just matched it as for the Floydrose and just sort of had a quick look at the measurements. Went from there, so the intonation is actually spot on straight away. So the setup's just about complete. I've still got the little block just in the back there. I'll show you how that finishes, but if we just go to the tuner right now, so all I do now is just remove this block out of the back. I add the final spring to the guitar. I like to have that little bit of foam in there just behind the springs too. It just deadens and dulls everything just to stop those spring noises. It doesn't affect or impede on the foam at all. It's just touching just so you don't get any of that sound coming through when you use the Floydrose. And now I just use a screwdriver so you can see I just tuned it then with the screwdriver going into the claw screws. All that does is just realign the Gotoh tuner to be level again with the body, and at that point should be perfectly in tune. And that's exactly how I tune up all my Floydrose guitars. Once you set them up and you have them in tune, they just don't move. But now we'll just check the whammy bar and I'll just fit it up and just see how it goes. And it just screws in like a Stratocaster, but you can stop it early just so it is a little bit floppy, but there's no actual play in it. It doesn't rattle like the Floydrose ones do. They've always got this rattle like a... And if you tighten that knurled grub screw a little bit too much, it stiffens the whole thing up. I like them to be floppy just so that they fall out of the way of the guitar as well. So to me, this is a real plus with this setup. It's just really nice. It's really refined. As far as the tremolo arm and how loose the actual tremolo feels on the spring tension, it does feel a little bit sort of floatier, and that's only because of the brass block is 36mm opposed to the Floydrose 34. So you do have that extra leverage there, but it feels really nice. It doesn't feel alien at all. It's just straight into it. I could happily just like play this gig in a live show this evening without any worries. But final test, let's just see how it stays in tune. And that's actually not a bad result either. They're much of a muchness as far as tuning and stability. It's just, I'm a real nerd when it comes to these things. I love refined pieces of gear that you can just look at and really nice machining. But I am a sucker for the details, and when something's just this refined and this nicely made, everything's just such close tolerance. It seems to just fit together nice and smooth. The Floydrose, to me, it's a beautiful unit, but it is very crude in a way. It is very robust. It'll last a long time, but I just really like the nice touches with it. The little knurled screws, the way the whammy bar just screws in and the way it holds there. It comes with the brass blocks straight away out of the box. It's half the price. Tell me why you wouldn't love these. But there you go, guys. I can't find actually a single fault with this Gotoh bridge. I think everything's been refined and a lot of thought's gone into it from the get-go, and it's just beautifully made. So, but I hope you like the video, guys. It's a bit of a nerd look into the Gotoh versus the Floydrose. It's not sponsored in any way. I have no affiliation with either of the companies, and I just wanted the best bridge for my guitar. I love this guitar. But anyway, take care. I'll see you next time.